Hi, welcome back to Epilepsy Moms. Today we are going to do a Q&A with Brittany. My name is Summer and my son has generalized epilepsy with tonic-clonic and absence seizures.
And my name is Liz and my daughter has focal epilepsy with focal seizures in her temporal lobe.
My name is Brittany. My daughter has focal epilepsy with partial seizures.
So today we are just going to start out asking some questions. So Liz, would you like to go first?
Sure. So my first one is, does anyone in your family have epilepsy?
No.
Okay.
Nobody.
When you first noticed your daughter she was like 6 months old, she was having these spells where she was waking up and then looking to the side kind of, what did your doctor originally think was going on?
There was a short period where we were actually sent to an ophthalmologist because they thought maybe she was having a lazy eye. She didn't. And then I kind of kept pushing it, and then my doctor said possibly spasmus nutans. So kind of like blew it off like, oh, this sounds like spasmus nutans. It's something that she'll probably outgrow around 3.
And did they do testing for that, or they just waited to see if she would outgrow it?
No, they didn't do any testing. She didn't do any testing. She just said, yeah, it's something she'll outgrow. Some kids have it. I was like, okay. And I remember it didn't, I looked it up and it didn't feel right. I was like, this doesn't, and I would look up videos and I was like, this doesn't look like what she has. But I also I was telling my other family members that I was seeing this, and they didn't see it, and they're like, Brittany, I don't see anything happening. I think you might be just seeing things. So I already kind of felt a little crazy, and so
which we all feel.
Yeah. So I was just like, okay, it's nothing. It's something shall outgrow. All right. But then they continued to happen, and every time they happened, there was something in my gut. You know, your mothers. You know. So I kept pushing it after that, and then finally caught a video of it, and I think that's what prompted my neurologist to get an EEG, because they were so fast before I couldn't get videos.
And recording is a big thing. Doctors ask you to record any activity, seizure activity, weirdness that you see. They always are constantly asking for you to get video of it so that they can see what you see at home, because they're not with you at home. So just remember that, you know.
And don't be afraid to keep investigating, keep asking questions, keep telling your doctor, even if you don't have that proof of a video, don't be afraid to keep asking your doctor about it. They're going to be writing those notes down. And if something does happen later on down the road, they're going to be able to look back and be like, oh, mom was mentioning this. Mom had told me this. And I know, like Brittany was saying, she had to tell them over and over again, well, I'm still seeing this. I'm still seeing this. And so, and, you know, even sometimes you have relatives like Brittany did. I mean, I've had other situations, not with my son's seizures, but with other things with my other children, where I've told family members, hey, I'm noticing this. I don't think this is right. And they will tell me, oh, that's nothing. You're just a helicopter mom. And in the end, it turns out, no, I was right. That like gut feeling that you have as a mom is often right. So don't be afraid to seek out help, even if people are telling you no, or you're crazy, or, you're advocating for your child. Don't advocate for your child.
My next question is, did the stay in Europe happen for so long? You said you were there for a month. Mm-hmm. Were you there, were you scared to come home? That's why you were there for so long? Or was that just this extent of the trip?
That was the extent of the trip.
Okay.
Because when we had made the trip, I didn't know, or when we, booked the flights, I didn't know that Ellie was having seizures. So I didn't think that it was going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
And my doctor, after starting the medication, said it wouldn't be a big deal either. But I wanted to come home. I almost made a flight because I wanted to get these things figured out, because I wasn't gonna, they have doctors in Europe, but I don't know what the process is. And I wanted to get home as soon as I could. I was ready to leave. But I was with my mom, and my mom was very supportive. I'm glad that I had that time with her, because she really gave me the strength to like push through and no, if this doctor isn't working for you, find somebody else. Yeah, so I'm glad that I stayed, but at the time I really needed to go home, get this figured out for her. So yeah.
Was your husband there on that trip, or it was just you and
No, it was just me and my daughter. My husband was home. He was going to school at the time, college.
So do they know why the seizures got worse after the Keppra? Was that just the wrong medication and it didn't help?
Yeah, it was just the wrong medication. Yeah, wrong medication for her type of seizures.
So how many different meds has she been on? And if you can list them, that would be great.
Yeah, so rescue medicines, I'll start with that because she does need rescue medicine from time to time. She is on the rescue medicines that we have to give her is Diastat, and then we've also been using the midazolam nasal. It's like a spray, and then before that we tried where was it? Ativan, and Ativan did not help us at all. But the midazolam and the Diastat helps pretty quickly. It's after like 3 minutes of a seizure, and it can, after 3 minutes after administering the Diastat, her seizure will slow down and then stop. So Diastat's been the best one for us. And then daily, so she has tried Onfi, valproic acid, zonisamide, rufinamide, Keppra, lamotrigine, trileptal, Vimpat, and then she is also taking CBD as well. And she's been taking CBD for, so I think since she was about 2 or 3 years old. Yeah, so she's been on that for a while.
Do you notice if the CBD helps, or I mean, well, it must, because you're still on it.
Yes, so it does help at night. And there was a time where we thought, maybe it's not helping, maybe it's the other medications that she's on. So we would take her off of it, because with CBD, it's not something, like the other pharmaceuticals, once you start it, you have to stay on it and then slowly bring it down. But CBD doesn't affect the body or the seizures that much. So anyway, we took her off the CBD for a little while. It was probably like 2 weeks, and we noticed her nighttime seizures increasing. So we put her back on, and then they decreased again. So they helped a lot for the nighttime seizures.
Have you noticed any reasons for her seizures increasing? Like when she's sick, does she have more, or allergies or something?
Sickness is a huge thing that triggers her seizures. Anytime that she gets, a wave of seizures, we usually wait a few days before increasing medications, because typically her body will settle, I guess her immune system, because we think maybe it's a stomach bug or something. Because sometimes she won't even show any symptoms of being sick, like she won't, have a runny nose, or she won't puke or anything, but she'll just get the short wave of seizures that lasts for about 3 days, and then everything will settle, and then she'll be fine again. So, and our neurologist has said, sometimes kids will fight stomach bugs, something in their digestive system that they're fighting that you can't really see, but that can cause an increase in seizures. And then wheat. So she's on a gluten-free diet. Wheat is another thing that we noticed. I think she's allergic to that. Will increase her seizures. And the only reason we figured that out was because my husband is on a gluten-free diet. And so all of us were on a gluten-free diet because of him, because, he would eat the same things we did. And then when she started going to school, they asked, if she needed to be on a gluten-free diet. And I said, no, it's fine. Just let her eat the normal lunch. And then her seizures started to increase. She actually I think it was the first week of school, the ambulance had to come and administer rescue medication because the seizure got so bad. So then we started the gluten-free diet even at school, and then things kind of settled down. So, yeah. Wheat and sickness.
I know in the past you've mentioned full moons kind of being a weird time that she...
Yeah, full moons and everything is, yeah, full moons. It was kind of, we always knew like around the full moon time, unless like her medication is really working, like with her being on all four with the Onfi that she's on as well, we didn't notice anything happening during the full moon. She didn't have any, weird seizures. But in the past, and who knows if it's the full moon or if it's just the time of the month, but I always, like, when a full moon would happen, like a couple days before or a couple days after or the day of the full moon, she would have a big seizure where she would need a rescue med. Once a month she would get a rescue med, and it would always happen around the full moon. And I don't know if it was just because that time of the month or if it was the full moon. Who's to say? You can't really pinpoint seizures. Can't pinpoint, but the full moon does all kinds of crazy stuff, right? Yeah. So it was, I kind of was like, okay, I wonder if it's the full moon, if that affects her at all. So, I mean, it affects kids, when I was working, anytime we would have kids with like crazy behavior, it would always happen in the full moon. It affects kids and pets, right? So,
right. So how has it affected her schooling, having epilepsy and having, I mean, cerebral palsy has already kind of affected her in that way, but how has the epilepsy affected her?
So because her seizures aren't, they're not under control, she has to be in a school with a nurse. So the nurse has to be at her school full time to be able to administer a rescue med. And really, the hardest thing right now, she's so young, so she just started first grade, is when she's sick or when she had a seizure the night before and we had to give her a rescue med. I tend to keep her home the rest of the day because I know seizures make you very tired, and then the rescue med on top of that, that would be such a hard day for her. So she misses a lot of days at school. But the school that she's in is very supportive, and the teacher that she has is very supportive of her, and I just kind of keep them updated and say, hey, she had a rescue med last night, I'm going to keep her home with me today. So she misses a lot of days at school is like the main thing.
Is the nurse like in her class with her, or she just is in the office if she's needed?
She's in the office. Yeah, she's in the office, and she will call me or the teacher. And the teacher is really good too, because Evelyn's in it's like a special education classroom, and the teacher will write down if Evie says seizure at all, because Evelyn I think she has like these auras where she knows when a seizure is going to happen, because she gets very scared and she'll say, I think I'm gonna have a seizure, and she'll run to the teacher. And sometimes, but by the time she gets to the teacher, the seizure's already done. And then sometimes it'll continue, until she needs rescue medication. So, but the teacher will write all of those down for me, which has been great.
How long do her seizures typically last now, and how many is she having a day?
Right now, she hasn't had any seizures for about 2 weeks. With the, we added Onfi. So she hasn't had any seizures for 2 weeks. It's so hard. Typically, I would say 30 seconds we call them her short seizures, where she runs up to me. She knows she's going to have one. I hold her, and her body's very tense. And she's terrified, and she'll grab onto my neck, and she said, I'm having a seizure, it won't stop. And she's just holding on to me, and she does this weird swallowing thing while she's having the seizure. She's still partially aware, so I could still ask her questions. Like, is it still happening? Yes, I think so. Anyway, those happen, they'll last anywhere from 10 seconds to a minute. And then her longer seizures, the one where she'll need her rescue med, can last up to 14 minutes. I think her longest has probably been 20 minutes. At the time, we had to call the ambulance because we gave her her rescue med. I don't remember how long that was, though. I can't pinpoint the time, but it was a long time. We had to wait for the ambulance to come to our house. They had to administer another rescue med, and then it finally stopped. They had to take her, to the hospital because she had so many rescue meds. Anyway.
That was a lot to a little baby's body.
Yes, and they had to watch her breathing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was scary.
So was there any media that you helped or that you had found that had helped, like any social media or groups that you found to help you out?
Yes, Facebook. There was it was like a special needs community for the town that I live in that helped. And then there was also another Facebook group is Epilepsy in Children. And then you're in the same groups. I can't remember because I've been off Facebook for a while. It was like Epilepsy. And then there was also a CBD for Epilepsy group. So I had a few groups that helped me out. The Epilepsy in Children, Toddlers and Babies or something like that.
I think you added me to a few of them. Yeah.
Is there any particular support person you have, like friends, family, a doctor, that just helps you in the area of support?
My mom would probably be my biggest support. She really helped me get through the darker times when I was in Europe. Those were she helped pull me out and wake me up like, Brittany, you have to, you're the mom, you're her advocate. This doctor isn't working for you, go somewhere else. And I'm so grateful for that. And I'm able to talk to her anytime if I'm feeling, stressed out about anything. And then Liz has been a huge support for me as well. She is going through the same thing, similar thing with her daughter. So it's nice to have somebody else that I can talk to that, with just anything, medications, behavior changes with medications. Those are all things like my mom wouldn't understand. So yeah, my husband definitely sees the things that I don't. If I'm missing something, he can call them out. I feel like
same with my husband.
We work kind of perfectly together. He's able to, and sometimes I'll get so frustrated when she gets those behavior, changes, outbursts. He'll kind of remind me, hey, take a breath. It's gonna be okay. She's going through a lot. And I'm like, I know.
And then Liz, do you have any more questions? I have one.
I don't. I am out of questions.
Okay, let me give you my last one is, so how does she feel during the seizure? You said she is kind of aware, she can answer questions. Does she remember what's happening, or how's she feeling?
I think the main thing she feels is scared, because I've asked her what else she feels, because I've heard, adults talk about it, when they have the auras, they have like, they can smell something burning, or they feel like they're skippy. She feels fear. That's the main thing, is she's just terrified. And saying, how are you feeling? I feel like I'm having a seizure, is how she'll respond. But she's terrified because her eyes are dilated. And after a few of them, she has said that was a scary one. So
it's pretty interesting that you say that, because my daughter kind of does, not a fear, but because hers comes from the left side and Evie's comes from the right side. So it's two different focal epilepsies. For anyone who's watching, it's two very different types. But my daughter has said she calls hers her dreams. And it's interesting because with her dreams, she'll say it was a scary dream.
Like when our neurologist, I think he said the fear is on the backside of her brain where her seizures are coming from. And that's why she gets so terrified, because her face just looks like she's seen a ghost. So I know it's it's in the back side of her brain, but I wonder if fear is on the right and the left side of the
Possibly.
brain.
I'll have to look
Yeah.
into it. Well, we enjoyed having Miss Brittany with us. Thank you for doing that. And we look forward to having you return. I don't know if you caught her last video, but she was talking about getting surgery done for her daughter. So we hope to have her back after surgery has been finished, and maybe a few months after we can get her to give us an update on Evie and see how she's doing, and maybe kind of give us a rundown on how it went and what happened. She is also gonna vlog it.
Once the vlog is going, we can link it down below in the description.
Yeah, perfect. All right. Well, we hope that everyone enjoyed this session with us, and your story's not over.
Your story's just begun.